Okay, let's unpack this. Welcome to the deep dive, where we try and slice through all the noise to get you genuinely well informed. Today, we're plunging into a topic that, well, it touches nearly everyone, yet it's often vastly misunderstood. We're talking about the intricate, sometimes kind of surprising relationship between exercise and our reproductive hormones. And we've got some really groundbreaking research here, stuff from just 2024, 2025, that's really changing how we see our own bodies.
Yeah, it's so easy to just think, okay, exercise good, sitting around bad,
Yeah.
simple, right? But when you actually look at reproductive health, it gets way more complex than that. Imagine trying to choreograph a ballet, right?
Yeah.
And every dancer is a different hormone. Estrogen, testosterone, cortisol, all of them. They all need to move in perfect sync, really nuanced for the whole thing to work. And this new research really highlights just how delicate that choreography can be.
That's a perfect analogy, actually. So our mission today is to cut through that complexity. We want to give you a clear understanding of this really critical intersection of fitness and fertility for both men and women. So whether you're, prepping for a meeting, trying to catch up on the latest health science, or maybe you're just really curious about how to optimize your body's potential, yeah, this deep dive is for you. Okay, so let's set the stage a bit. When we talk about exercise influencing reproduction, what are these key hormonal players? Who's actually in this orchestra, so to speak?
Right, it's quite the catch. You've got your main players, like the lead violins, perhaps,
Mhm.
testosterone, estrogen, but they definitely don't perform alone.
Mm.
There's a whole supporting section that's just as vital. You've got cortisol, that's our stress hormone, insulin, managing blood sugar, growth hormone, for repair and growth, thyroid hormone, they handle metabolism, and even leptin and ghrelin, those control appetite and energy balance.
Mhm.
What's really fascinating, though, is they don't work in isolation. Not at all. They're constantly talking to each other. It's this complex feedback loop, and it influences pretty much everything: how you build muscle, how you store fat, even how well you sleep.
That talking idea is so vivid, it makes you think, okay, a shift in one hormone could have these unexpected ripples across the whole system. Can you maybe give an example? Like, how might increased cortisol from, say, overtraining specifically talk to our reproductive hormones?
Oh, absolutely. Think of cortisol as the body's emergency alarm bell.
Right.
If it's ringing constantly because of stress, whether that's, hammering workouts without rest or just chronic life stress, it signals to the body, high alert, high
Yeah.
alert. And in that kind of survival mode, things that aren't immediately essential for survival, like reproduction,
Oh,
they get pushed down the priority list.
yeah.
So yeah, high cortisol can directly suppress the production of GnRH in the brain.
GnRE.
Yeah, gonadotropin releasing hormone. It's basically the master switch for making testosterone and estrogen.
Yeah.
So high cortisol can effectively tell the brain, hey, hold off on the baby making stuff. We've got a crisis here.
Yeah.
It's a direct line of communication.
Wow. Okay. That's a really crucial distinction. Makes you realize how linked everything is. And speaking of surprising ripples, you mentioned some recent research, right? Stuff that challenges common ideas, especially for men. Was there anything in particular that jumped out at you? Something that made you kind of stop and rethink?
Definitely. There's this study published just a few months back in Frontiers in Reproductive Health. It looked at male athletes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a perfect example of this nuance we're talking about. Most of us, and yeah, I think this way too, we just equate peak physical fitness with peak health overall, like across the board. But this research showed that while, yes, moderate exercise is great, pushing into that really intense endurance zone can actually cause problems right down at the cellular level.
Okay, so we're not just talking about feeling worn out here, are we? What kind of cellular problem?
Exactly. It's deeper than just fatigue. The study found that this kind of really vigorous ultra-endurance stuff can cause something called oxidative stress and even actual DNA damage in sperm.
Whoa, DNA damage.
Yeah. Imagine it like rust forming on a really complex, finely tuned engine. Oxidative stress is basically an imbalance. Too many free radicals, not enough antioxidants. And when that hits sperm, it can mess with their quality, how well they move, their genetic information. It directly impacts fertility. So it's not just about athletic performance anymore. It's a direct biological hit to reproductive health.
That really flies in the face of the whole more is always better idea, doesn't it? So the takeaway isn't stop exercising, but it's finding that sweet spot.
Didn't the same research also show that moderate exercise can actually improve fertility outcomes?
Exactly right. The key isn't to demonize exercise at all. It's about respecting how delicate these systems are. Moderate, consistent activity that creates a healthy environment and improves circulation, lowers inflammation, optimizes hormones. That's the sweet spot. That's what really seems to nurture reproductive health. Right, we've dug into the male side a bit, but For decades, a lot of this research really focused on men, didn't it? It kind of left out half the population. And women's bodies, with the hormonal cycles and everything, it's inherently more complex. This historical imbalance means the recent work is even more important, I think.
It's absolutely true. And we're finally seeing some really incredible work being done on menstrual cycles and athletic performance. There was one study, for example, tracking elite British track and field athletes. The insights were, well, pretty eye-opening. It kind of debunked that old idea that your period always tanks your performance. Turns out many elite athletes perform just as well, sometimes even better, during menstruation.
That's fascinating. Okay, can you break that down for us a bit more? How do those hormonal shifts during a woman's cycle actually affect things like performance or recovery?
Sure. So during the follicular phase, that's the first half of the cycle, when estrogen is rising, many women find they have better power output. They might recover faster from high-intensity stuff, too. Your body's kind of primed for explosive movements using carbs well. Then you move into the luteal phase. That's after ovulation. Progesterone is higher. Here, endurance capacity might edge up slightly, maybe because the body shifts more towards burning fat for fuel. But recovery might take a bit longer, and experiences vary a lot here. Some women feel stronger, others feel more fatigued, maybe some discomfort. This variability is exactly why the future is so exciting. Imagine wearables, right? Not just tracking your period, but maybe giving real-time clues about hormone levels. That could allow for truly personalized training tweaks based on your unique hormonal signature day to day.
That is genuinely a game changer for athletes. So how are top teams actually using this info now, this periodization? What are they seeing?
Well, a lot of elite teams, and individual athletes too, are now working closely with sports scientists. They're tailoring training schedules, moving away from that one-size-fits-all program. So maybe they'll schedule the heaviest lifting or the most intense sprints during that follicular phase, and then focus more on longer, steady endurance work or active recovery during the luteal phase. The early signs are really promising. They're seeing fewer injuries, better performance consistency, and just overall improved athlete well-being, simply by working with the body's natural rhythms instead of fighting against them.
That idea of working with your body's rhythm is so powerful. And speaking of working with the body, I want to touch on something affecting about 1 in 10 women. Polycystic ovary syndrome, PCOS. This seems like a huge area where exercise is proving to be, well, genuinely transformative.
Oh, indeed. PCOS, polycystic ovary syndrome, it's a complex hormonal disorder. A key feature often is insulin resistance. For many women with PCOS, their cells just don't respond efficiently to insulin. This means glucose doesn't get into the cells easily, so blood sugar goes up, and the body pumps out even more insulin trying to compensate. And that high insulin level can then trigger other hormonal imbalances, like producing excess androgens, those male hormones, which contributes to things like irregular periods, weight gain, fertility issues. It's a whole cascade.
So exercise here isn't just about general fitness, is it? It's actually tackling a core metabolic problem. It sounds almost like medicine.
It really acts like medicine in many ways. Systematic reviews, looking at lots of studies, consistently show that vigorous aerobic exercise significantly improves insulin sensitivity in women with PCOS. It's like it's waking those cells up, making them respond better to insulin again. And it doesn't stop there. This improved insulin sensitivity has knock-on effects. It helps reduce those excess androgens we talked about. And it can even help restore more regular menstrual cycles. It really gets at several of the core issues of the syndrome.
And the great thing seems to be that it's not just one type of exercise, right? Things like HIIT, steady cardio, strength training,
Yeah.
they all seem to help.
Absolutely. They all show promise, which is fantastic because it means women can find something they genuinely enjoy. Because really, the best exercise is always the one you'll actually stick with. Consistency really is king when it comes to managing hormonal health long-term, especially with conditions like PCOS. Perfection isn't the goal.
That consistency over perfection point is just so crucial, isn't it? Especially with hormones. And speaking of, busting myths and finding what really works, there are still quite a few misconceptions floating around about male reproductive health and exercise, too. Stuff we should probably clear up.
You're absolutely right. Take testosterone and exercise. The common idea, the sort of gym floor wisdom is just lift weights, get higher T. Simple. And yeah, resistance training can definitely be beneficial, but the latest research shows it's much more nuanced than just that.
Right. This is where it gets really interesting, I think. I saw that late 2024 study you mentioned. It looked at different exercise types and male hormones. It confirmed resistance training can give a boost. But the kicker was if you push into overtraining, like constantly in that high stress state, your testosterone can actually crash. What's going on there biologically?
It really comes down to that critical balance, or maybe imbalance, between testosterone and cortisol. When you're constantly overtraining, your body reads that as chronic stress. It keeps cortisol levels elevated. And high cortisol is like, hmm, imagine trying to drive with the parking brake on. The body is stuck in this alert fight or flight mode. This high cortisol state basically signals to the body, we're in survival mode here. And in survival mode, energy and resources get pulled away from things deemed non-essential for immediate survival, like reproduction. So the whole system designed to make sperm and support libido gets dialed down.
That's such a clear picture. It really highlights how chronic stress, whether it's from pushing too hard in training, not sleeping enough, or just, life stress can be fertility's worst enemy for both men and women.
Exactly. And just add another layer,
Yeah.
moderate cardio. That can actually improve testosterone and sperm quality. It helps with blood flow, reduces inflammation, improves overall cardiovascular health, all good things for hormonal balance. But when you get into that ultra-endurance zone, like running 100+ miles a week consistently, that's when you can start seeing those negative effects we talked about earlier, the oxidative stress, the DNA damage in sperm.
It really sounds like your body's sending a pretty powerful evolutionary signal there, doesn't it? Like, whoa, things are extreme right now. Maybe not the best time to try and reproduce.
Okay, so we've hit the downsides of too little exercise and also potentially too much. This really brings us squarely to what I'm thinking of as the Goldilocks principle for exercise and reproductive health. Not too little, not too much, just right. That really sums it up perfectly. The research paints a clear picture of a spectrum. Do too little. You miss out on all those fantastic hormonal benefits. Better insulin sensitivity, improved circulation, stress reduction, things like that. But push way too hard or too much without enough recovery. You risk actually suppressing vital reproductive functions. We see this in female athletes sometimes with intense training plus maybe not enough fuel or low body fat. It can lead to hypothalamic amenorrhea.
That's where periods start completely, right?
Exactly. And it's not just about a missed period. It's a sign the whole reproductive system, right from the brain down, is disrupted. It can lead to problems with bone density, higher injury risk, and obviously significant fertility challenges. The good news, though, is that it's often reversible if you adjust the training load, get nutrition right, and prioritize recovery. And for men, it's similar to that ultra-endurance overtraining scenario we discussed. Same principle. Too much stress suppresses the system.
So finding that Goldilocks spot is key. But for a lot of listeners, that might feel like guesswork. What are some common traps people fall into when they're trying to find their just right? And, generally speaking, what does that sweet spot look like based on the current research?
Yeah, common pitfalls.
Oh.
Definitely the all-or-nothing approach is one. Either totally sedentary or suddenly training like a pro without building up or focusing on recovery. Another is maybe focusing only on one thing, like weight loss on the scale and ignoring how the body feels or other health markers. Based on current guidelines, that just right for most adults generally looks like around 150 to 300 minutes of moderate intensity aerobic activity per week. Think brisk walking, cycling, swimming. Plus adding in 2 or more strength training sessions targeting major muscle groups. But, and this is crucial, this has to be balanced with enough recovery. That means aiming for 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep most nights. It means taking actual rest days and making sure your nutrition is supporting that activity level. Without those foundational pieces, even the right amount of exercise can become too much stress for the body.
And I just want to jump in again for the women listening. Please don't be afraid of strength training. I know that old myth about getting bulky still hangs around, but honestly, the research shows resistance training is incredibly beneficial for balancing hormones, improving insulin sensitivity, building strong bones, enhancing body composition. It's such a powerful tool for long-term health without the bulk unless you're training specifically for that. Okay, this has been super insightful, really fascinating stuff. But now listeners are probably thinking, okay, great info, but what do I actually do with it? Let's try and distill this down into some practical, actionable steps.
Absolutely. Good idea. Okay, first step. Start tracking something. Anything, really. If you're a woman, tracking your menstrual cycle is huge. There are great apps now that help you log not just your period, but also energy levels, mood, how workouts feel at different times. But for everyone, tracking sleep quality, or just general energy levels day to day, or maybe noting how you feel after different types of workouts. That gives you invaluable personal data. Data is power when you're trying to understand your own body's responses.
Right, building that self-awareness. Good starting point. What's next?
Next, take a really honest look at your recovery. Are you actually getting 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep most nights? Are you building in at least one full rest day each week? maybe more if you train hard. Remember, recovery isn't just passive downtime, it's active. It's when your body adapts, gets stronger, repairs tissue. And critically, it's when your hormones regulate and rebalance. Skimping on recovery is like trying to build muscle without protein. It just doesn't work well.
Yeah, makes sense. And nutrition obviously has got to be in there.
Foundational. Absolutely foundational. You need to make sure your nutrition genuinely supports your activity level and your goals. Extreme dieting or just chronically undereating, especially if you're exercising a lot, that's just asking for hormonal trouble. Your body literally needs the building blocks. Adequate calories, healthy fats are crucial for hormone production, quality protein to make hormones properly and function well. Oh, and hydration. Don't forget that. Even being mildly dehydrated can subtly mess with hormone production and recovery.
Okay. And we've mentioned it a few times, but maybe let's just explicitly highlight stress levels again, because it's just everywhere these days.
It really is. And chronic stress is arguably one of the biggest hormone disruptors we face. Whether that's constant pressure from work, relationship stress, financial worries, or even the physical stress from super intense training. It all adds up in the body's stress bucket. So finding effective ways to manage that stress, to mitigate it, is just as important for hormonal balance as the exercise itself. Things like mindfulness, meditation, yoga, spending time outdoors, even just making time for hobbies you enjoy, they can make a real difference.
Totally. And finally, if someone suspects they do have an ongoing hormonal issue or they just have concerns, the best bet is always professional guidance, right?
Oh, without a doubt. Please, consult a healthcare provider who actually gets this stuff, the link between exercise, nutrition, and reproductive health. That might be a sports medicine doctor, maybe an endocrinologist, or a registered dietitian who specializes in athlete nutrition or women's health or hormonal health. They can help with proper testing, diagnosis, and creating a plan that's truly tailored to your specific situation and your body.
Perfect. And maybe one bonus tip to wrap up the practical advice. Try to start viewing your body more like an ally, not something you have to fight against or punish. When you work with your hormones, listen to their signals, support their needs, it fosters a much healthier, more harmonious relationship with yourself.
And looking ahead, I have to say, I'm really excited about where this field is going. We're definitely moving towards more personalized exercise prescriptions, things based on your individual hormonal profile, your rhythms. Imagine getting a workout plan that adapts not just to your fitness goals, but literally to your hormonal state, maybe even in real time. Wearable tech is evolving so fast. Some companies are already working on devices that might potentially give us more direct insights into hormone fluctuations. It's coming.
That level of personalization sounds incredible. Revolutionary, really. And it's not just what exercise, but when, right? Like circadian rhythms.
Exactly. We're starting to understand more about how our internal body clocks, our circadian rhythms, influence how we respond hormonally to exercise. It could mean that, for some people, a morning workout has different hormonal effects than an evening one. It's a whole new layer of optimizing our physiology that we're just beginning to explore.
Wow. Okay, this has been quite the deep dive, seriously. From that delicate hormonal ballet to the Goldilocks principle, it's so clear there's way more going on than just move more.
Mhm.
What's your biggest personal takeaway from our chat today?
For me, I think it just comes back to the sheer elegant complexity of our biology. Every time I look into this research, I'm just kind of amazed at how interconnected everything is, and honestly, how much we still have to learn and how much we need to keep listening and adapting to our own bodies.
Yeah, I get that. For me, I think it's the sense of hope this research offers. For so long, people struggling with things, period issues, low libido, fertility problems, were often told, oh, that's just how it is, or you just have to live with it, our way. But now we're seeing that the right approach to exercise, combined with good recovery, good nutrition, it can be incredibly therapeutic. It can be empowering. It feels more like proactive health, not just reacting to problems.
Well said. And just to really hammer it home, it's not about finding the one perfect answer that works for everyone. It just doesn't exist. It's truly about finding what works for your unique body right now, at this stage of your life, with your specific goals and circumstances. That hormonal dance between exercise and reproduction, it's different for every single person. And that individuality is completely okay. It's normal.
Absolutely. And just our standard reminder, everything we've talked about today is for general information and educational purposes. It is definitely not medical advice. Please always consult with a qualified healthcare professional for your own individual health needs and concerns. So as we wrap this up, here's a final thought for you to chew on. What if understanding your own unique hormonal signature isn't just about hitting peak performance or fixing a specific problem? What if it's actually the key to unlocking a deeper, more connected, more harmonious relationship with your own body? A relationship that could fundamentally redefine how you experience health, vitality, maybe even longevity for yourself. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Listen to your body, trust the science, and keep moving forward.